Hey, y'all.
Hola, welcome to 30 Minutes Down South. She's Allison.
And he's Carlos, and we are two top producing realtors.
With two extremely different Southern upbringings.
Join us each week as we explore the Lake Murray area with our special guests.
Welcome, Allison, to another episode of 30 Minutes Down South.
Well, do now, Carlos. Aren't you full of yourself today?
Oh, man, I love this weather.
I know, it's beautiful, it's shining.
Sunny, shining. I don't know if it's sunny and shining when people actually listen to this or watch this, but while we're recording it, it's beautiful, blue skies, 70 degrees.
Perfect boating weather.
Perfect boating weather. You always find a way to tie things up. I
know.
love that.
Thanks.
Yeah, it makes you look smart.
Hey, I mean, fake it till you make it, right?
All right, so what are we talking about in the perfect boating season?
Perfect boating season. So today we have Shannon Frank. She and her husband own Purple Martin Pontoons, a pontoon boat rental company right here on Lake Murray.
You know, I for some reason I was in my head Purple Marlin.
Marlin?
It's
There are
actually
no
purple.
marlins in Lake Murray.
Maybe we should
That
bring
would be
some.
a saltwater fish.
That would be cool, right?
That would be cool.
A Purple Marlin, and while you're watching the Purple Martins on a Purple Martin boat.
Yes, but you know what? I think a lot of people don't know what a Purple Martin is.
All right, why don't you explain that?
Well, so the Purple Martins are these tiny little purple birds. I mean, you can't really tell when you see them. They look black up in the sky. But they roost every summer on Baum Island in Lake Murray, and it is the coolest thing to see.
So they hang out in Boma Island on their way to colder weather, hotter weather, or they
I think
come
they're
here?
heading south.
They're
maybe?
heading south, right? So they make a pit stop in here,
Yeah,
and they all come back to that island.
that same island every year, and it is thousands, and probably for what, a month?
Roughly.
At sunset every day, they all just come flying in. Like it's just, you can't even explain
And
it.
it's
Like
usually
it is the coolest
during the
thing.
month of August, correct?
It's usually like late July,
Late
early
July.
August. Yeah.
Okay, so, well, there you go. If you've never experienced that, you can actually call or rent a boat from Purple Martin.
Yes.
In case you don't have a boat, obviously. If you have a boat, go and take it to Baum Island, Google where it is, and go and
go see the
experience
Purple
it.
Martins.
Yeah.
But let's let Shannon tell us about her business and how people could rent a boat to go see the Purple Martins.
And welcome, Shannon Frank, to 30 Minutes Down South.
Hello, how are y'all?
We are good, Shannon. Thanks so much for coming on today. So tell us a little bit about yourself and about your company.
Okay, we moved to Chapin in 2016. My husband actually worked at VC Summer, and when he lost his job, he actually moved to Georgia and lived in like a camper for 4 years. And I stayed back in Chapin because I was like, I'm never leaving Chapin. Like, you're never gonna get me out of here, like ever.
So funny you say that because I have the same story or similar. We moved here in 2013 for the same reason. And when my husband lost his job, I was like, you can go somewhere else, but we're not leaving.
I was like, literally get a camper, move down there. I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And so I stayed here back in Chapin with my daughter. And as he worked at Vogel, and while that work kind of was winding down as it does in construction, he was like, what's going to get me home? What's going to get me back to Chapin? And we owned an Airbnb on the lake called the Buttonbush Cottage. And when I had my second daughter, I just got really burnt out and was like, because I cleaned it myself. And I was like, we need to kind of sell. So we sold the cottage, and we were like, well, what else can we do that's involves the lake, because we love the lake, and will kind of get my husband to move back home and be home. And so that's kind of how he came up with the idea. He said, I'm going to start a pontoon rental business. And I was like, you are crazy. That is a terrible business idea. And I went to Connecticut because that's where I'm from originally to visit my grandma. And he was like, I'm buying pontoons this weekend. And I was like, you are literally crazy. Please do not do that. And I went to Connecticut. And when I came home, there were 2 pontoons sitting in my yard. And I was like, no, this is like, how are you going to make this work? And he's like, I'm calling it Chapin Boat Rentals. I was like, that's a terrible idea. And I shut it down and quickly was like, no, it's going to be Purple Martin pontoons. We're going to wrap them in purple. We're going to brand it. We're going to get purple t-shirts. Everything will be purple. And I kind of started cause I had the experience on social media through my Airbnb. So I just kind of turned it over into boats. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I remember your Airbnb.
I
Yours was,
remember the name too. You did a
yeah,
good job
yeah.
marketing it.
and it was one of the prettiest one out there in the market. One of the
Yeah.
first two. I want to say that
Yeah.
you had the most reviews for a long time. Actually, you set the bar
Yeah.
high for Airbnbs like mine.
Yeah, thank you. I had 116 five-star reviews and
Mm-hmm.
when I retired, and honestly, like the pressure of it was getting to me. I was like losing sleep over getting my first 4-star. And now I'm just experiencing that in Google reviews for our business because we have 23 or 24 5-star reviews. So I'm like kind of freaking out that something's gonna happen. And
Well, it
so
sounds like based on your Airbnb experience, you have 5-star customer service for sure that keeps people coming back. So I think the idea for Purple Martin pontoons was definitely something that was needed. And we're starting to
yeah.
see a few more boat rental companies pop up. But what do you think makes y'all's unique?
I think ours is different just because we deliver and we allow overnight rentals and we really market to people who are coming here on the lake, want a vacation, want it to be easy. We show up with the paperwork, we show up with charcuterie sometimes, and we set them up for a great vacation. Or if, let's say, they live here on the lake, but they don't have a boat, but maybe their grandkids are visiting and they want to have a boat for that week or 4 days or whatever. We bring it to them. They don't have to go anywhere. No one's packing a car. We'll bring you a cooler with ice. We'll bring you floats, noodles. We even have a grill that we've give out to people. And so I think for our reviews say a lot about just how like the process is just so seamless. We show up, we do the whole safety rundown. This is how to use the boat. This is where to go. We give recommendations. We're like a little tour guide Barbie, if you will. And then we send them on their way and we're there. If they need us, they can text us, ask us any questions that I don't think you might get with another rental. It's just like really, really personable. And I think another thing that people like about us is just we are literally my husband and I. That is it. We are the only ones working. We show up with our kids. And I think some people just they like that. They just feel like they know us. And people who follow us on social media, like before their rental, they will comment about our kids, like, oh, I saw this, like that's so funny. They like feel like they actually are friends with us. And it's fun because then I kind of feel like I'm friends with them too. So and they'll comment, we'll keep up with each other. And I just thought it was so cool last year how many repeat customers we had, like people who vacation at Dreher Island like every year were like reaching out to us like, hey, we're so excited to like see y'all again. And I just thought that was really great. So
That is
yeah, just
neat.
we're very like personable and my husband does not know a stranger. So I think people just gravitate towards him and yeah, he is really good at customer service.
That's awesome. How many boats do you have right now in inventory?
So right now we have my husband jokes we have more boats than children. So we have 5 boats right now, but we are selling 3 of our older ones, and we just bought a brand new one maybe a month ago. Actually, yeah, it was March 3rd. We bought that boat on March 3rd. It's my daughter's 3rd birthday. We said, look, we bought you a pontoon. It's a tri-tune, so even fancier. And we are downsizing because Ryan did get a job back in November, and he does work like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 kind of thing. So we have the one boat. She's like super fancy. Her name is Iris. All our boats are purple themed. So we have indigo, lilac, and violet, and now we have Iris. But we are going to sell off the others just because they have been used, every day, 8 hours, all summer long. So it was just time for us to kind of upgrade. And Iris is real fancy, though, I will say. Kind of like, we took her out last night after the Gamecocks won. We took like a little victory lap around the creek, and I was like, "This boat is nice, Ryan. Like, I kind of want to keep it forever." So,
So I can imagine, I grew up on the lake, so boats, second nature. But the first time I saw some people out on a rental boat, it was quite evident that that was probably the first time they had ever driven a boat before. So I can only imagine some experiences y'all might have had with renters who did not know what they were doing. Do you have any crazy stories that you can share with us?
yeah. So this actually happened with customers who, very sweet, they did replace what they broke. Our very first year, it was 2 days before 4th of July weekend. And our old neighbors at our Airbnb texted us in the morning, and they were like, something happened to y'all's boat, because it was the people at our old Airbnb that rented the boat. And so our old neighbors were like, something's going on. They're like taking pictures. They're frantic on your boat. And then they were like, oh, they ripped the bimini top, like right off the boat. So we were like, what? So then he did eventually call us, the renter, and he was like, I'm so sorry, but I went under a bridge
Oh,
over by Jura Island that I thought we could clear, and we did not clear it. And the lake top was like mangled. And so we frantically ordered another one. We didn't have a top for 4th of July weekend. We ended up having some customers cancel on us because of it, because they were like, which I don't like the sun. So I was like, I get it. Like, I wouldn't want a boat without a top. Like, I totally get it. But that was probably our worst, like,
moment.
that's not too terribly bad then.
No, that's not. That's the worst. I can write that.
I've driven by somebody like on our personal boat, and they were like, I will drop Ryan off at Epting's Landing sometimes because it's like right across our cove. And I'll drive our personal boat and like pick him up, drop him, whatever. And when I had dropped him off and our renters were coming in, they raised the engine like out of the water completely. And like the propeller was, and I was like, what is that in the water? And they were like, what is she yelling at us? And because Ryan, he yells at me when I do that. So I thought it was like really bad. So I was like, oh my God, put it back in the water. And they were like, and then I was like, Ryan, is it okay? And he's like, it's fine. You're like, I was like, well, you yell at me for that. But I've learned, like, I didn't grow up on boats, so I've learned a lot about boats that maybe I don't even want to know. But I have learned how to drive a boat, how to dock a boat. I've learned all about like raising the tilt and trim, and even like just like backing up and whatnot. So I do have a good story though, actually. One time my father-in-law was here because Ryan had to go work in Minnesota for like 2 weeks. And I had to tow my father-in-law back because this was my fault, but I did not throw the dock line all the way in, and it was dragging behind the boat. I didn't know it, and it got up in the propeller. And we were like right out in our cove here. And my father-in-law was like, all right, we switched boats. I got on our personal boat. He threw me the front dock line, and I was towing him in. And we were like this going down our tiny little cove. And he's like, all right, just pull in real close to the dock, and I'm going to jump off the broken boat. And so sorry, look at my dog. She's like, let me out. And so I'm like pulling him in, and he's about to jump onto our dock, and he completely misses our dock.
Oh, no.
And whacks his face on the cleat of our dock. But the dead boat that I got the line stuck in is about to rear end me because I'm pulling.
Yeah.
So I like jumped out, like I threw myself across our personal boat, untied the dead boat from me, and was almost stuck between my neighbor's dock and like was like like to get myself back out to the cove. But I had no dock lines on my boat, so I couldn't even dock my boat. And like all the neighbors come running. There was like blood everywhere. Like he went to the ER. It was like a whole thing. And I was like, that's what you get for going to Minnesota, Ryan. Like everything fell apart. You left me here with these boats. Well, I'm like, you let her out. She's like literally gonna wind
Yeah,
up.
It's crazy that the craziest story she has was one that
involved the
it
personal
was your
boat.
fault.
And our personal boat is not a pontoon. It's a deck boat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like very sensitive, like
Yeah.
fiberglass. Like, so if you hit the dock, like you will hurt our boat, So I'm like, oh my God, like, but I guess I can work a little bit in stress. I don't know.
Well, there's only one way to know if you can work well in stress, and you just found
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. So I protected our personal boat from damage.
That's
Sounds like you did good.
Great. Yeah.
So I'm curious, do you feel like your business is year round now, or is it very seasonal? Because
it is very seasonal.
Okay.
Yes. So the first year we kept it open until October, and we had a handful of rentals in October. July is like insane.
Go time.
Like really insane. And then we will pull the boats out and we'll put them on trailers in the wintertime. And then it is like the minute Christmas is over, I start getting the emails, the texts, the phone calls, the requests, and probably around January. It's like people are like in vacation mode, like, all right, like how are we gonna like plan our year? And then it will die down for a little while. And then it's like the first day it turns 80 degrees here and we have like a beautiful day. All of a sudden we'll start. I really should do a research project on it, because I swear that the days it's sunny, we get more bookings than like cold, rainy days. Because it's like people got it on their mind. They're like, oh my God, it's beautiful. Like, what can I do? I want to get out on the lake. And I really do feel like there's a correlation between what's happening outside and our bookings. It's kind of wild, actually.
I can understand that.
Yeah, that's certainly. So how do people can contact you and your company and book a boat? What's the process?
So we only do multi-day rentals right now because of Ryan's work schedule. So we will, like, if you want to rent it on a Saturday, Sunday, we will drop the boat to you Friday night at 7 p.m. and we will pick the boat up from you Sunday at 7 p.m. So you'll always get it the night before your full day.
All right, I gotta ask. Hold on, let me interrupt in there. How do you drop off 5 boats at 7 p.m.?
Oh, no. Okay, so that was actual chaos too. So we used to do one at 10:30 and we used to do one at 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30. We kept them staggered. And then by the time we dropped off the 3, because at the time we only had the 3, and then our personal boat made 4. Then we just bought the 5th boat. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We bought boats, selling boats. So we only had 3 going, and it was really, really chaotic. Every day was different because sometimes they stayed overnight for a week, and then sometimes we dropped off 3 in one day. And it was like by the time we dropped one off, we'd have like a 2-hour break, and then we'd start picking up. So I spent a lot of my summer in my minivan driving around the lake. I've learned a lot about this lake and how big it is. My kids spent a lot of time in my minivan as well. And everywhere he would go, I'd drive in the minivan to pick him up, because people would be like, wait a minute, where does he go? And I'm like, no, I come and get him. Like, you're not keeping him for the day.
He's not captaining the boat for you.
No. He's not captain. He's a good time. Don't get me wrong. But like, y'all aren't going to keep him for the day.
Maybe
like,
you should add that as an extra service.
I know. Well, and we have looked into doing that, but it would require like a U.S. Coast Guard license and like a whole class and all that. And it was just becoming like too much. So, and we have plenty of business without like the tour guide part of it. So we do our best to get them ready for their day. Like, hey, you should go here, you should go there, that kind of stuff.
What I'm curious, what are your fees, and are they different from spring to summer to early fall as well?
No, that is so complicated for me to change. I just we have always kept it flat. So we're like 350 for weekdays, 390 for weekends, which we have increased over time. Just inflation, gas, and we include the first tank of gas. So we never require our renters to fill up the tank. Like some other companies are like, it has to be full when you bring it back. We say if you use it all, that's fine. And no matter where we go, we bring 5 gallons with us to pick it up and get home. And sometimes if you rent it for a week, yeah, of course you're going to run out, but we'll leave them like the big 5 gallon tubs and they can go fill it at like a regular gas station, or they can buy the expensive gas on the lake. But um, that I know that that's been like really appealing to some people. It's just like not having to worry about that.
So you said 350 for the weekdays
And 390.
and 390
390
for the weekend. So
yeah.
if someone's renting it for the weekend, it would be like the Friday and Saturday night. Is that how it works? Or would they pay for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
They would, if they rented it for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, they would pay Saturday, Sunday. And Friday night, when we drop it at 7 p.m., we don't really consider that
Okay.
a day. So they get Friday nights. Like, I mean, they could take it out for like an hour before bed, I suppose, but our insurance does not cover anything after dark.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
If you have limitations on the time of the day
Yes.
to use the boat.
And let me tell you, you don't want to be out on Lake Murray in the dark.
No, I've had.
You don't know Lake Murray and you don't know where you're going. I find it difficult, and I'm out on the lake almost every day in the summer, and I have a hard time navigating even just Bear Creek in the dark. So
Do y'all have a tracker on the boat so that you know if people are taking them out at night?
We do. We have air tags on them. Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
I love the lake at night, especially when it's full moon, so you can see. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's my
flat.
favorite time.
Yeah.
It's also the most. We had a near miss about 7 years ago, and I've only been out once at night since then, and it was because
Somebody almost hit you?
yeah. The person captaining the boat had radar and he's a pilot. And his wife said, if they let him fly a plane in the dark, I think he can navigate a boat in the dark. But yeah, we've only been out once since then. And it was 7 years ago. So
We almost had someone ourselves like 3 summers ago. We were coming back from Rusty Anchor, and there was a boat that had broken down. No lights, nothing. And it's like literally like Titanic, you know, when they pull up and all of a sudden they just see the iceberg, and it's like, and so we were like, we saw sea tow in the distance, like approaching them. So we were like looking at sea tow, and meanwhile, there's this broken down pontoon in the pitch black. And we were, you know, coming along. And so Ryan slowed it down, and he was like tooting his horn, but it was like, toot, toot, toot. You know, we didn't hear him until we were almost on him, and then we went around him. And so ever since then, I had like Lyndon was 6 months old at the time, you know, in my arms. So that like really shook me up. I still think about it. So we're like, if we go see the Purple Martins, I'm like, all right, like let's get
go.
home.
Yeah, before dark. I get it. And that makes total sense that insurance wouldn't cover that because the liability would probably be so high.
And I'm like real big on like, turn off the motor if you're swimming near the, making sure we're not diving head first. You know, like I'm in nursing school now. So I'm like, no spinal cord injuries, no traumatic brain injuries. Like if y'all don't know how deep the lake is in certain places, and it varies.
Oh yeah.
Too. And I noticed that a lot in the winter time. All of a sudden there's islands that weren't out there in the summer. And so I'm like, please no one dive head first. Please do not horseplay on these boats. Please, everyone needs to come home walking and talking and fine. So that's like a big part of our like safety teaching when we're, signing our renters.
Yeah, I got a feeling that a lot of people that are not familiar with Lake Murray, they just see it as a big pool, and it is not. It is it is a little bit more complicated than a swimming pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shannon, do you have any minimum requirement for somebody that wants to rent a boat, age-wise, education-wise, license-wise?
They have to be over 25, and yes, they have to have like a driver's license, but there is no requirements as far as like a boater's license here in South Carolina. And that might be different. I feel like that's different in Connecticut. I'm not quite sure, but no, right now. And I feel like there was something set forth last year, like a new law that went into place, but it affects people who are under 25, I believe. And I could be misspeaking, but that doesn't affect us because we only rent to people who are 25 and older. So awesome. It doesn't really, I don't think it applies to any of the rental companies.
I do think that's something, and they may be, but that South Carolina needs to consider. To me, the waterways are more dangerous than the highways for those who don't know what they're doing.
I don't know about that. Highways are pretty dangerous.
Well, since construction on I-26 started, for sure. There's no construction going on. Well, actually, the dam, they're starting that construction, or the towers, they're starting that construction. But I do think there should be some type of guidelines. I mean, I know, like you said, there was, it was put into place for those under 25 have to take the boating course now. Because my daughter, who's 17, she's like, I want to drive the boat. Well, you've got to go take the course.
Yeah.
But I mean, for people any age that aren't familiar with a boat or lakes or shoals and all the things that are there, there should be some type of requirements, but that's a podcast for another day.
Literally, I get nervous. Like the jet skiers make me so nervous. And like, we have a jet ski now. And I know my daughter, I'm sure, will ask, she's 8 now, but when she's 17, I'm sure she'd love to take that jet ski out. And I know like it's all fun and everything, but she can take her kayak out.
There you go.
It makes me so nervous.
Yeah, I think as a mom, you're gonna second guess everything they do for sure.
Yes. We're on a no wake cove, and I love it because we don't have big water views, but it's quiet. I know that my kids can swim, kayak, whatever, and no one's gonna like run them over or anything. So it is, like we have a big water view across the street, so that's fine. That's good for me.
Yeah.
It is awesome. It is awesome. So I guess just give us a little bit of what's your website, any phone numbers, how people can reach you.
Yeah, so our website is purplemartin.com, purplemartinpontoons.com, even though now we have a tri-tune. It's purplemartinpontoons.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook if you like to follow us and our little behind the scenes, kind of what's going on with the Frank family. A lot of pictures of my children, so I apologize in advance. And if you go on our website and you click like schedule, there's a book now. And what it does is it's a Google form, and you can just fill in your information, where your location is, all that. And we will, it'll come right to my email. Sometimes I'm driving or whatever. It'll take me a little while, but once I get home, I'll send you an invoice, and then you can just pay that, and we'll write you down on the calendar.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for your time and teaching us all about Purple Martin Pontoons and how it came to be and how people can book with you.
Yeah, thanks all for having me. This is exciting. Oh, and my dog.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
She's a boat girl herself. She loves to go out on the boats, and since she's a bird dog, she loves to see the Purple Martin.
Oh, I bet she does. I bet she does. All right, Shannon, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, y'all. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was cool.
I loved hearing her backstory of how they got started and why, especially since I had a connection with her. So I'm so glad that the business has done really well for them.
Yeah, and it's no surprise because I remember that Airbnb that they had, and every single, I kid you not, they raised the bar high for Airbnbs. When I was starting with mine, that was it. That was the Airbnb that I wanted to imitate, because all the reviews were about how well thought it is. I mean, a bedroom and a bed and a bathroom, anybody can put that. But it's the details, it's the customer service, it's the going above and beyond, if they're being reachable, all this stuff, all those reviews, they tell you what type of work ethic they have. Right. So I'm not surprised that they moved to a different type of business, and it's going pretty well.
Yeah, it sounds like being, top of customer service is definitely a priority to them. I mean, the fact that they bring you extra gas to keep so
That's
that
so
you don't have to pay
nice.
double the price at the marinas on the lake.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
That by itself right there tells a lot about the type of service that they provide, because even if you rent a car, which is a cheap gas and you can fill it up almost anywhere, you have all these people on your back. You have to bring food. Man, like part of me renting a car is because I'm on very limited time because I'm either on vacation or a business, and I don't really have the time to go and make the line or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Can
I
you
think
just
that's
take care
just
of
an
that?
excuse. But
If you think about it,
I'm
you
just
know,
kidding.
when you're renting a vehicle, you're not very rarely, unless you get in an accident, you're not renting a vehicle in the place you live,
right.
right? So you're renting a vehicle in a place that you have limited time to. Why spending that time on gas stations and doing all this stuff, and then they want to charge you, like, instead of gas, you're buying, I don't know, of gold, So this is a very, 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 did I say very?
You said very.
Let me say it one more time. Very cool service that they
Yes,
provide.
absolutely. And they seem like really great people. So I hope they continue to do well and be accident free. I was really waiting on like this great story because you have all these non-boating people renting these boats, and come to find out the craziest story she had was her fault.
I can't believe that you don't like Lake Murray at night.
I love Lake Murray at night. I have a great respect for Lake Murray at night.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell you my story another day. It's time to go.
Anyway, that was 30 minutes on the nose. Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for next episode.
Bye.
Bye.